I think I shared it with you guys, but me and X like I got to clear a couple. It's a lot of things I got to clear up tonight and address. Right. Me and X, first of all, before I ever knew X, X used to hate me because a person who he was close to, which was Ian Connor, he felt. I think I posted something one time, and he thought that that might have been going at Ian. By the way, me and Ian are very cool, and he didn't like me then. However, he went to jail, and and I don't know how he was able to watch my videos, but he was able to, and he liked how I talked about his case in an objective manner. Not someone who was just reading allegations and saying, damn, this is a bad kid. But neither was I was someone who was just sitting here like, yo, you know what I mean? This is completely bullshit. And he liked the fairness and the advice that I would offer through my news report videos I do on YouTube. He reached out to his manager, salute to Solomon. And it took about 3 separate occasions for me and him to really link up on the phone. If you don't know, and Kodak was recently the news for it. When you're locked up, especially in Broward County, you're not supposed to be on the. They give you phone privileges to certain people. Sometimes it's like usually a small list. What happens, and this is not like snitch or anything. You know, you're 3-way. You feel me? Like if you want to talk to somebody else, you have a person you could talk to 3-way. Now, when they find that out, it would cut the phone off. So that would happen multiple times with me and X on the phone, and he would call back, and we got past the issues. He apologized to me, which I thought it was very mature of him. He apologized for how he treated the situation, not knowing me and saying certain things publicly. However, beyond that, he was in a very dire state. And this stuff might bore you guys, but I'm sorry. Like, this is therapeutic for me. He was locked up. He didn't think he was going to get out for any time soon. He had a song that was popping off. And, of course, the Drake thing happened. And, you know, like, he felt like people didn't care about him in jail. And, you know, through those conversations when he was in jail, I got an understanding of who he was as a person. Very deep thinker. The way he thought was completely unorthodox. And if you think about just how regular people think or relate things. And I saw he was a person, and he was really big on energy. Really big on energy. Energy and other things. Just things that you would listen to someone, or you would think that someone who's super well read would be like into, but like he was not only into these things, like he lived his life accordingly. Anyway, he did get out of jail. He made XXL freshman list. We all know what happened. He dropped his album. He had one of the biggest cult followings, obviously his fan base, and really what he calls his family. He then signed a $6 million deal, reportedly, with Capitol Records. He was on Empire before he sold 70,000 records. Huge. You know, like, what people don't understand is that, and I'll also interject myself into the equation of where I kind of come into things. Artists like X, artists like Uzi and Yachty, before they really became mainstream, those are what I really covered on YouTube. I've never made my name by covering the Drakes. Now, I do cover the Drakes, but it was when I covered the Keefs, is when I covered the Yachties, the Uzis, the artists that a lot of people call SoundCloud rappers or mumble rap. And with each of those artists, for me, it's a very proud moment when I see that they're not only the artists that Akademiks covers, they're a huge fucking superstar. And in the case of Yachty, in the case of Uzi, in the case of X, they were huge superstars. So, of course, when he drops his new album, and it sells really good numbers, he has a smash hit, which was Sad. I remember the first time he played Sad for me. And I remember, like, the fans had some leaks of it. I was like, yo, I can't get that lyric. Like, because the fans wrote up a whole thing. And I said, what are you saying there? And he said, are you saying, I'm sad and low? And he said, no, I'm saying, I'm sad, I know. But anyway, just even fast forward past that. Me and his relationship personally has been up and down. If you don't know, X does not like the media. And if there's any media outlet out there that said X fucked with them outside of XXL, they're lying. X fucked with none of them. X hated them. There's multiple stories and tangents I could go on with that, but he didn't fuck with media like that. So I did feel privileged to not only know this guy, but also kind of be it's kind of almost like an exclusive plug for really any information from this guy who's a growing artist. But beyond that, me and him, we were friends. And just, and for some of you guys, you know, some people look at it like, and this like, there's a popular narrative. I'm gonna get to all these popular narratives because I believe you guys buy into certain stuff. Oh, Hank, you're so naive. I was friends with the guy. If you don't believe it or you think it was some fake type of no, the guy didn't like industry shit. I saw a lot of me in him. He didn't fuck with industry shit. He didn't want to be like doing press runs. He wasn't into that shit. Same with me. You don't catch me at an industry event to save your life. I've been invited to every one of them, from Kanye's listening party to Nas, and no disrespect to the ones that I haven't gone to. There's nothing. It's not my scene. It's not my scene. It just isn't. But X was just like that, and me and his relationship a lot of times, you know what I mean. It was up and down because also as his friend, I was also a journalist, and yeah, and well, let me stop saying journalist because before somebody holds me to that. But like I got a job to do. You know what I mean? I got a job to do. You know what I mean? Like, not because I'm your friend. If something bad comes out, if whether it was a report or leaked whatever court documents that allege that you may have done this, even though you're my friend, I gotta report it. And yeah, we're not gonna probably have the best conversation afterwards, but you know what? And I'm gonna really speed this whole story up. But me and him, we stopped speaking while knowing each other 3 or 4 times, and we always came back. The first time, because me, I'm very hands off with artists. Like, okay, I usually understand when people talk to me. Usually they try to use me for the platform I have, and if it doesn't benefit them, they stop talking to me. Or if they don't need me anymore, they stop talking to me. That's what it is. But for X, it was different. Okay, I remember when we didn't talk for a while, he reached out to me. So what happens? I didn't reach out back to him. I'm like, all right, cool. We'll separate for now, whatever. But he reached out and he said, yo, Ak, I love you. He's like, we're going to fight. We're brothers. He's like, don't give me the cold shoulder, though. And I say that to say, me and him, we fought a couple times, and then we would talk again. And unfortunately, before he died, I believe a month and a half before he died, we had one of those fights. And again, you got to realize brothers do fight. You know what I mean? But never in the back of my mind, I think that he would die before we got a chance to make up or got back on good terms. And not a million years without thinking about his death. So that is my relationship with X. Okay? I will also say for a lot of rappers now, the newer rappers who fuck with me, they reach out to me, whatever relationship you might see, most of them, they do respect my opinion and thoughts. They do, like, if I give them guidance, they'll think about it. I'm not saying they'll always follow, they'll think about it. That's worth a lot because I know that's a lot of responsibility. And for some people, it might be trivial because it might be like, yo, bruh, like, you giving advice in a YouTube video means nothing, but to a little kid who was probably 14 or 15 who grew up watching my videos when I was talking about other artists and now I'm talking about them, for me to give them that advice over the phone, it means a lot to them. Or even through a video, it means a lot. So, trust me, in many situations, I try to give X advice. And also, I will say vice versa, because X tried to give me advice. You know what I mean? One of the things he told me, he's like, yo, he said, I think, what did he say? He said, you got to stop drinking Hennessy. You got to just drink wine. And, but anyway, whatever. That's relationship, right? Anyway, he passed away. And we don't know exactly what happened. But I do, like, I was a little bit shocked by some of the comments I was hearing recently by people who were trying to sum up his death. And it not only showed me how uninformed people were or how detached. And I get it, X wasn't the guy who was super friendly with the media and super friendly with all the people in the media. And by the way, to when people ask or say, how is Akademiks affected? I'll tell you this. When the Migos situation happened, with the Everyday Struggle Migos situation, X was the first person before family who called me. Yo, Ak, you good? You sure? X. After Vic Mensa situation, X. So it's more than just some exploitative. You know? A lot of people get this fucked up, like thinking, yo, there's some exploitative bullshit, and I'm gonna get to direct comments because I've been hearing them. But that was pretty much it. Anyway, recently, I'm he passed away, and of course, like for the people who, some people say, yo, he was a bad guy, the domestic abuse stuff. You know what I mean? Like I don't really. For those people, I do believe they should have a voice. For me, whether those allegations were true or not, it matters none to me now because he's dead, and his judgment ultimately lies with God. So that's not for me to really still be caring about anymore. Even though I do have sympathy if there was really a victim. But other than that, like, if you followed X for the last couple of months, at least publicly, he's been a beacon of positivity. He's been trying to give back. He's been trying to be a good person. Now, what happens is that when X got popular and came out of jail, keep in mind a kid who grew up in a fucking broken home, mom was in and out, and he grew up a lot with his grandma. Like a lot of kids could identify with. I can. He rebelled a lot. He fought a lot. He did a lot of things that he probably wasn't proud of at the time of his death. Like because he matured. You know what I mean? And of course, people hold these things and judge him for it for the rest of his life, clearly. Because yes, he felt Drake stole his track. Yes, he didn't know how to handle that. He didn't know, like, hey, maybe you could try to get something behind the scenes and talk to him. The kid was on Empire. He didn't know any other way but saying, Ak, record everything I'm saying. Fuck Drake. And I remember calling him after he said something about Drake mom. I said, yo, you're going too far. Stop. Stop. Take it down. Stop. But that was his way. And this was a kid who was it 18 or 17? It was 18 at that point, I believe. 18. So you have to keep that in mind. I believe it was 17. No, 18. So you have to keep that in mind. This is a very young kid. Again, still doesn't even know the power that he wields. By the way, I will say without a shadow of a doubt, X's influence on his fan base is greater than any artist, maybe outside of Kanye, in this generation. That's a fact. He didn't understand. This is an 18-year-old kid. He didn't understand that. So he didn't understand when he got on Instagram and said, fuck Drake or whatever. Maybe even some of the ramifications of that. Even career-wise. He learned later. From that situation, and for a lot of people who thought he was a very troubled or problematic kid, if you follow the lineage of the issues he had publicly, it's really two. One was the Drake situation that spurred into the Migos situation because we had Offset who spoke out and said, yo, this guy's a fucking nut to think that Drake stole his song. So yes, as a kid who, again, like, and I'm sorry I'm digging up the past, but you have to understand, a nigga was in jail. He thought, man, like, the only reason why people even care about me, why I think I might have a shot at getting out, is because of this one song. And then he hears Drake fucking likes his music. And he's like, oh shit, okay, this is great. Then he hears Drake perform almost a copy in terms of flow of his song, so he's mad. He lashed out. That's how the Migos thing started. That's how whatever was 600 Breezy started. Of course, people looked at that online and said, well, common denominator here is X. He's a bad guy. He loves to beef. Keep in mind, and I'm going to keep reiterating it, it's an 18-year-old kid, doesn't know how to control his emotions, doesn't know how to properly respond, doesn't even understand the power he holds. Then, of course, the Rob Stone situation happens. Again, these are situations I've talked to him at length about all of them. I've challenged him on all of these things. For the people, and I'll get to those people who thought I was ever enabling him to do anything, you're wrong. If you thought posting something, X's Instagram account is 1,000,000 times more powerful than all my accounts put together. Trust me on this. You just look at it on my Instagram. The people he affects care about him. So, the Rob Stone incident, and by the way, that was an incident he that beef or whatever you want to call it, right? He inherited from Ski Mask. If you guys are not familiar with that story, Ski Mask, the Slump God, went on a tour with Designer. Designer had a tour, and Ski Mask was featured, and also Rob Stone. Ski Mask was a hotter artist because of his affiliation to X, and of course, shit he done. And when the tour got to California, the San Diego region, just naturally, you should imagine, if that's your hometown, even if you're an opener, you're going to get a little bit more preference when you get to your hometown. Clearly that happened, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sorry I'm so long-winded, but I'm trying to explain for a lot of people who are speaking uninformed and acting like this kid was a real problem child, like he was just fucking up, like he was just the worst thing ever. I'm giving you because you guys reacted to headlines. You guys never follow the story. It's when you react to headlines, you make your decision about someone like this. You don't follow the story. Ski Mask gets jumped on stage. X is furious. He said a lot of things, and again, I'm not excusing him, but he's an 18-year-old kid, does not know how to deal with issues other than screaming at his phone and saying fuck the other guy. Clearly, that manifested itself when he went to California and he was punched on stage. Again, this is still building, and by the way, this was a growing thing for him, where he was hating the media because the media was chronologically just putting up these things about him, like, hey, he's beefing another one. He said this, and for him, he was like, you guys are making me look like a monster. You're making me look so evil. While if he did charity, no mention of it. No mention of it. That's why, if you remember the stream me and him did, he said, I will tattoo one of these media organizations' names on my ass if they will just show the good I do. Just show the good I do. Because right now, it's completely one-sided. And people, we do live by headlines. A lot of people live by headlines because most of the people who are judging him now lived by headlines. Most of the people who see the accusations from his case live by headlines. Most people who saw him continually in these quote-unquote issues or beefs that they're saying you're the common denominator, they look at headlines. Now, in the last 6 months, he changed his life drastically. He removed people around his circle. He was all about energy. If he felt people had bad energy, he was down and he was willing, and he did. He removed them. He removed them. He was trying to stay out of the spotlight, at least with anything negative. And again, I'm not going to get into if this was all true even behind the scenes, but he was trying to be a good kid. He was trying to give back. He was trying to do all these things and lay low, because he realized at that point his music was going to sell. Like, he was making great music. People realized it was going to sell. Didn't have to do it. So, again, for his death to come at this point when he clearly turned around his life is incredibly sad.